Good morning, all of you. My name is Sabine Paulette. I'm from Inagro, a research station in the Flemish-speaking part of Belgium, and I am the coordinator of the Horizon 2020 project Smart Protect, which is a thematic network on smart IPM tools. Some of the partners of Smart Protect are in this meeting, so welcome to them. As well. We are working with 15 partners in this project. So Rafael from Hispatec will give a presentation this morning, and Rosemary is from the University of Warwick, and she is one of our leading partners. We also have people here in this meeting from the RLF, the French partner, and from Portugal as well, and I think Slovenia as well. And in this map, you see the green spots where our partners are situated. A very short introduction on Smart Protect for those who doesn't know it. It's, as I told, a thematic network on smart IPM tools for greenhouse and open air vegetables. And we are working with the multi-actor approach. So the first part of the project, we spend a lot of time on the knowledge collection. So the search for all the smart IPM techniques, which are currently on the market or are going to get on the market soon. So we started from TRL 7 until 9. And in the second part of the project, actually now we are working on the benchmarking and the evaluation of these tools. And the last part of the project is, of course, the exchange of all the knowledge and to show the most promising techniques to the end users. And of course, through the whole project, we have our knowledge management and communication and dissemination. To start with the knowledge collection, Rosemary from University of Warwick is responsible for that, and she's doing a great job on that. So all partners have been searching for new techniques available for in the coming years or already on the market for the end users. And after a lot of work, we decided to group them in 4 subgroups. So the application subgroup, the decision support techniques, diagnostic and detection, and the monitoring. And the status when I made this presentation on 8th of February, here you see the numbers of techniques we are having in scope. This will be differ during time because some techniques we are deleting as companies doesn't give us enough information because we will have kind of parameters we all want to have for each technique. And if we don't have enough information, then we are deleting them or we think it's not in the scope of our project. So these subgroups, you see the first one, the application, and we can discuss then in the breakout rooms later today. We group the sprayers and the spraying drones, the UV systems and the distributions of beneficials. Then we have one technique, subgroup on decision support techniques. We have 2 on the diagnostics and detection, so the ELISA and the detection apps. And we have 2 groups on monitoring, the crop monitoring and the insect monitoring. Because all of the partners, we want to speak on the same, we want to have the same definition on what is IPM, what do we understand under IPM. We decided to develop our own IPM pyramid for Smart Protect so we can communicate on the same base. And the basic of the principle is that you all know the principles of IPM. You start at the bottom with preventive measurements like crop rotation or resistant varieties. And when this is not sufficient, you go higher up on the pyramid and you make use of warning systems or monitoring. And the more you go to the top of the pyramid, you start to control measurements. And the first ones are the mechanical and the physical and the natural control. And then you go to the biological, and at least the last thing you do is using chemicals. So the range of tools that we are using are covering the whole pyramids. Now I want to show you this. A view on the internal database. So how did it work? All partners were looking for smart IPM tools and they could enter the name of it. Then we follow up who did what. And we had a check. Rosemary did a lot of work on that. Many thanks for that, Rosemary. I know you're still busy with that. And later on in the project, we move this database to the platform. I will just show you. It's already publicly available for everyone. And each partner can update this in the platform. We have editing rules. So if we have new information or the companies, we contact the companies. In the beginning, it was hard because there were no events due to COVID. We couldn't go to any fairs, so it was all by email or phone, which makes it more difficult than if you have contact face to face. But each time we have new information, we can edit it. And this time we are working on improving the platform. Our Greek partner, Genso, who is responsible for the communication and dissemination, they developed our Smart Protect website, and here you can find the website link. We also have a newsletter, so you can subscribe on that. And if you go to the website, you will find on top of it the platform. If you click on that, you're coming this screen. And here you can find all the solutions who are already in the database. What is very important and useful for the end user is that we are decided to translate the information. So it's not only in English available, but it will be in 12 different languages. So as end user or as a farmer, you select your language, and then you will find the information in your own language, which is quite important because researchers, most of us, we speak enough English to understand what's on the platform, but this is not the case for farmers. Currently, we are starting the translation, so not all the techniques will be in all local languages, but each week we will do, or we try to do, a set of 10 techniques, so it should be improving the coming months. The platform is working by search solutions, so you can just type in a certain technique, or you can say, I want to have a look, I'm a farmer, what is existent, which monitoring techniques are existent currently, or I want to have some more information on application techniques. Then you just can click on this button. And if you have a look then further, you can see the application range as well. So, so far we have 40 techniques working on bacteria, more than 100 on insects and nematodes, mites, and so on. There are also others, just we can't say it's only for mites or fungi. So you can have a look at us searching to do search at this time as well. And if you have found certain techniques or you want to know some more information, this is an example on the UV robot, the Lumion. You will mostly find a picture of that. We are still improving this, so we don't have a picture for all techniques. And then you find the technology level. Also information on the scale types from the farm. So it's used for a big farm, or it's also useful for a small farm. It's used in greenhouse or open field, which technique it is. And then you find always a short description. And most of the time you also have the website of the company. So we don't want to give too much information, because if you are looking for a technique and you are interested in a particular one, then you can have some more information on the websites. And sometimes they listen up in which crops it's already used, which countries it's used, against which range of species you can use it, and other technical information as well. Another example is, for instance, here the cap trap. So it's a smart trap, and we have already testing this summer. We did it, and Rosemary, you did it as well. So you find again some information, the company name, the country of origin, a short description. You can visit the website, and you find the sort of crops which it's used. Most of the time there are also technical requirements comments if you should know something, because this is very difficult to use, then it will be listed up here. And sometimes you find a cost detail as well. This is a quite difficult one, because most of companies, they say it's quite custom made, or we will give a price when there is an offer, or somebody is interesting, so it won't be always listing up the cost. detail, and you find sometimes also YouTube videos showing you how the system is working. So we are still currently improving the platform, and if you look at the website, you will also find the vegetable IPM item, and if you click on that, you will find some fact sheets on the site on Aliacea virus control or disease control and brassica, and we are still updating this, so to give some more information on smart EPM or diseases and pests in the crops we are working on. This was the most important part of the first part of the project, so the knowledge collection. And currently we are now working on the benchmarking because we want to identify the bottlenecks hindering the widespread use of smart IPM tools. Because if you will ask to growers, they will say, yeah, maybe it's interesting, but I don't know it, or I'm surely don't use it, or maybe it's too expensive for me. So we want to know which are those bottlenecks hindering the use of those smart IPM tools. And the second one is after benchmarking exercise, we want to identify the most promising techniques and to test them in case studies to demonstrate them to the end users. For that, to do that, we have started up last summer a survey for experts and stakeholders. So experts, this means researchers, the advisors, and the end users, the farmers, they are in the stakeholder survey. And we did that in, again, the 12 different languages of our consortium. And we asked different questions related to their profession, to their knowledge of the tools, the behaviors, their technical information on that. And after having several rounds of the survey, at least we have more than 400 people responded to the surveys, and more than 300 participants completed the completed survey. We had the highest participation in Spain, followed by UK and Slovenia. And if we had a look to the surveys, these are actually managed by the German GKI Institute of Ute. We could see at the left side A and here B. This A are the stakeholders, the end users, the farmers. B are the experts. If you know them, ask them, how about your knowledge on the smart IPM technologies, then you can see that most of them are very little or not at all informed. Only a few percentage are well informed about the smart IPM technologies. It's all quite new for them. But if you ask, is this important for you? Do you think you will need it in future? Then most of the people, they say, yes, I think it's important, or it's very important. And a quite small percentage say it's unimportant. So although they don't use it, they think it will be important for their future work. This is more in general or more in detail regarding to the different techniques that if you look to the application techniques that 75% did not use any of them on pesticide applications, so drones or sprayers, UV system, 90% didn't use any of them. And it's more or less the same for the other techniques. So it's quite new for the farmers now in Europe. The GKI is now working on the benchmarking exercise. So all partners are scoring. They have a group of techniques and they are scoring it regarding to scales, so different parameters. And then we are making for each group of techniques a kind of report, a benchmarking report. We also have the spider chart, and you can see how about special training needed, what are the costs, or they also renting costs, how many crops you can use it, and so on. And we would like to finish this the coming weeks. And the purpose of that is to select the best techniques to show to the farmers and to test in case studies. And the last part of the project will be dedicated, of course, to the knowledge exchange. Once we have all selected those techniques, we will show and demonstrate them through regional hubs through Europe. And the last part of the project, we will organizing a Smart Protect Innovation Rally. This Inagro is responsible for that. And in this, we will join with the big fair and we will show a lot of techniques. So maybe I hope to see all of you there. It will be taking place this autumn or in spring next year. Here you can see a picture of Jonathan who is explaining the use and the results on smart traps in autumn this year at Inagro. And I think this brings me to the end of my presentation. Yeah, we are also linked with other EU projects. An important one is IPM Works. We are also involved in that, and IPM Decision. We are linking our database with the IPM Decision as well to have a broader outreach. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm happy to respond to your questions.
Excellent. Many thanks, Sabine.
Yes.
That's a great overview. So I don't think there are any questions in the chat so far. But if anybody thinks of anything as we go along, then Sabine can always answer
Yes, of course. Yes.
Later on. So yeah, that's great.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will mute myself now.
Okay, thank you. Right, so now we're going on to Raphael. Are you okay, Raphael? And
hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
good morning.
yes. And Raphael's going to talk about smart technologies on IPM in greenhouses.
Yes, okay. I'm going to share my screen. So sorry, but I cannot share because I need to be another role. So could you give me the possibility to share my screen?
Are you able to do that, Sabine, or will you have to
right now? Okay, right now. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. Could you see my presentation?
Yes, I see it.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, good. So my name is Rafael Ferrer. I'm the product owner of the pre-harvest solution in Ispatec Technologies. Ispatec is an IT company that is focused on agribusiness. And my presentation is about smart technologies on IPM in greenhouses. So the main goal of this presentation is to identify a group of technologies that could be applied in a greenhouse in order to monitor and in order to make some predictions or identify some situation that could be produced pest diseases and so on, and then you could make some decision. Okay, so let's go. Yes, this is the index of my presentation, where I want to talk about solutions, farm management information system with mobile solution for make some process regarding scouting and sampling. We are talking about also in IoT devices for phenology monitoring and pest detection. Then we are going to talk about a big data solution and artificial intelligence framework for work in pest management regarding some models, some agronomic models for identify the potential situation that we need to manage. And finally, we are going to talk about IT architecture, and then we are identifying an example of a group of technologies that could be applied in common in order to make this type of solution possible. So let's go. First of all, we are going to talk about FMIS solution, that is to say, Farm Management Information System. And then using this type of software tools, you can identify the greenhouse's features definition. That is to say, which species are you working, which varieties, what is the planting frame, what is the plastic type, what is the hectares that you are monitoring, what is the soil type that you have, what is the machinery that you are spend in the levels that you need to do in the greenhouse. And this group of data is going to participate in the model who is necessary to this type of pest monitoring. This software tool could be could be some extension in mobile application, mostly in a scouting and unsampling process. That is to say, the agronomist could be in the greenhouse taking data directly in the crops in order to gather a group of data that is a key data for identify this type of situation that could be produce pests and diseases. So in this mobile application, you can have some data forms defined based on templates for this type of pest features, and you can measure this type of key indicators. And finally, you need to make a scouting and sampling using GPS in order to identify exactly the point that you are monitoring this data. And also you can take some images with the smartphone camera in order to make additional information for be more accurate in the data that you need to manage. With this solution, with this software solution, is needed to establish the baseline, the base solution for gather all the data, and then you can manage all the data for make this decision. In the next step, we can complement this software solution with IoT devices, mostly in the main in the frame of smart traps for automatic pest measurement. That is to say, you need to gather temperature and humidity, mostly temperature and humidity, in order to correlate this type of data with the data that can produce using the traps with camera in order to measure, in order to estimate some pest population. Good. And then also you can work with onboard system in machinery related to phytosanitary application in order to establish an automatic application in this specific location that you are make this scouting and sampling process. And you can identify also the application with the specific doses that you need to apply in order to control this population, this pest population. So this is the other input area from data that you can gather and combine with the data that you also have in the FME's Farm Management Information System in order to make this group of data and you can start all the models for establish this estimation of pests. Then, good. Once we have all the data in the system, we can start to establish several big data and artificial intelligence model in order to establish this model. So you can we can identify two areas regarding data. We have static data, that is to say, plants in frame, species, varieties, soil type. This data don't change along the season, along the agronomic season. And you can also have dynamic data. This is the other data area. We have dynamic data inputs gathered from mobile application and IoT device. That is to say, data that change along the agronomic season. That is to say, pest sampling action, different data gathered from IoT devices, different images that you can take from the trap sensor and the mobile device. So this group of data establish the specific condition and the specific situation that you can identify in your agronomic season day per day or week per week. Then you can make some artificial intelligence model in the frame of images analysis for pest population detection. Several techniques such as machine learning and deep learning for making different correlation among phenology with pest population, sampling data with pest population, climate condition with pest population. That is to say, several correlations that establish a specific condition that you can identify in the greenhouse that could be produced a huge amount of pest population or a specific pest population. Once we have this correlation, we can identify this KPI that can produce this situation. So the solution should respond these two questions. What are the conditions that could promote agreed pest deployment in the greenhouse? And the other question is, what are the actions to do for avoiding this condition? This is the main two questions that we need to make the corresponding response in the solution for minimize the impact that could be produce this pest population in the crops inside the greenhouses. Finally, we can identify the structure, the IT structure that could be implemented in the greenhouse for this action. We have in the input area, we can have a farm management information system for greenhouses features. All the process regarding data gathering from scouting and sampling using mobile application. IoT devices, for instance, TrapView or something like this. All of this data could be gathered and could be concentrated in a big data and artificial intelligence framework. And with this model, we can produce actions to do in the onboard system in machinery for phytosanitary application, and decision support system for minimize the potential condition that could promote pest deployment in the greenhouses. This is more or less the architecture that could be identify this type of solution. And finally, we can identify, for instance, a specific IT tools that right now exist in the market in order to implement this type of solution. In the input area, we can work, for instance, with FMEs. FMEs is a solution for implement FMEs for greenhouses features. We can use, for instance, CampoGest. CampoGest is a mobile application that is an extension of FMEs in order to implement solution regarding sampling and scouting process. We can use also, for instance, TrapView is a solution for smart traps that measure directly pest population. All of this data we can gather in a big data and artificial framework. For instance, Margaret. Margaret is a framework for artificial intelligence actions. And then Margaret also make a group of user interfaces for make this decision support system. And also you can have onboard system in machinery, for instance, STG that you can implement in a agricultural machinery, or MyJohnDeere, for instance, a group of API that you can use in the tractors when you are applying this phytosanitary solution. And thank you very much. And that's it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Rafael. So yeah, I've actually put a question in there in the chat. There's also one for Sabine, but we'll go back to that later. So I think you partly answered it in your last slide, but one thing I've observed from the Smart Protect work is that there's no tool that does everything. So what is the best way to actually integrate them?
Yeah, the best way. What is the best way for integrate all the solutions? You mean? Okay, so the best way is you need to work with IT solutions that it's possible to make some integration using web services, using API for make this interoperability. So the key important question and the most important way to make possible this situation is using IT solution with the main issue that you keep in mind is it could be necessary the interoperability among all the solutions that you are going to use. If you are going to choose an IT solution for implementing a greenhouse, it's completely necessary that could be the interoperability action. It could be necessary. So, Margaret, you need to implement interoperability. Campo has also FMIS, MyJohnDeere, SDG, wherever. It's necessary the interoperability because each technology offers a key information and all the information in common is the good information for make this a smart technology. So the most important issue is the interoperability.
Great, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
So, okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll go on to Uti's presentation now, and then again, if you've got any questions for any of the three speakers, please put them into the chat and we'll have a final question session after Uti's session. So Uti's going to talk about the IOBC working group on integrated protection in field vegetables. Over to you.
So, do you see my desktop?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Now you see the desktop?
Yes.
I mixed it up, the two screens.
Yeah, well, we can see yours. Well, yes, can you?
I'm just going through it like that.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so yeah, welcome everybody, and it's nice to be part here of this meeting today and also next week. And now I have the pleasure to talk a little bit about the working group Integrated Protection in Field Vegetables of the IOBC. And I am the convener of this group, and the co-convener is Hilfred Huiting from the Netherlands. So just about the start of this working group and a little bit of history. So this working group started in the 1980s with the main focus to work on integrated plant protection methods, about biology of the insect pests, monitoring and forecasting tools, and the main field of vegetable crops were cabbage, carrots, and leek and onion. So especially in this group, people came together and discussed what to do about the cabbage fruit fly, and the people are still discussing methods to control this fly. The general goal of this working group is still the development to develop systems to encourage the use of integrated pest management techniques in the commercial production of high-quality field vegetable crops. And our purpose is to collaborate and to discuss the different approaches which are developed in the different countries, in different groups, and to improve therefore the commercial production, not only in the region or in one country, but all over Europe or also abroad. And this is done to meet governmental and social expectations for this high quality vegetable crops. Therefore, we meet more or less regularly. At the moment, it's not that regular due to the Corona pandemic. So we met in 2017 in Switzerland, in Wädenswil and Arenenberg. And our last meeting was in 2019 in the UK, organized by Rosemary. And there we discussed different topics. Some of them are listed here. So like what are the news and the new developments in IPM in field vegetables. We discussed specific insect pests and specific investigations to control them. We discussed about pest monitoring and decision support systems, also landscape management and the conservation biological control, which is getting more and more importance. We combined the IOBC meeting together with a meeting of the Fly IPM project. Fly IPM was ERANET project where several partners of this working group collaborated together. And we discussed also about the Uvrine Wiki IPM and the results or the topics which we discussed at this meeting are published in the IOBC Bulletin. Sorry. So there are some impressions of our meeting. So we are not the biggest IOBC working group, but however, we have really very fruitful discussions and it's, you know, more or less the people are also the expertise, and it's always good to discuss new ideas and to come back also to former projects if you have specific questions which you want to address in this group. And our working group meetings are normally also combined with excursions to regional farmers or farmers to see what are the conditions in the country for the production of the field vegetables. So we see that our working group is important to get new improvements, to see what are the new findings, new developments, to address several challenges, which are, for example, climatic change, which may foster some pests and pathogens. Meanwhile, other pests and pathogens might be harmed. Also, we see the importance of IPM and alternative plant protection methods in commercial field vegetable productions. There's also one point from the EU with the farm to fork strategy. We see that we have a more or higher diversity of field vegetable crops, so that we have new crops, new cultivars grown in regions. And therefore we have also more diverse insect pests and also other pathogens like fungal pathogens, bacteria, and others. So we have a more complex field with new crops, with new insect pests, fungal pathogens, and so on. But at the same time that the non-insect pests, for example, are reduced. So we need research activities in every single country, but to get all the questions addressed, it's not possible to do that by yourself. So therefore the exchange and the discussions are needed. So this year we hope to get everything ready for our next working group meeting. So we plan a meeting in end of September in 2022 in Rennes, in France, organized by Anne-Marie Cortesero and Vincent Falloya. And yeah, at the moment we do not have more information, but we want to do a meeting from Monday to Friday, and we, or if I say we, it's the local organization. They want to organize as well an excursion to the local farmers and also to do a little bit of sightseeing, and so that it's a good meeting where we can discuss scientific topics, but that we can get to know each other as well, and to make a good way for discussions and as well for future collaborations, because there is the necessity of applied scientific discussions and research to strengthen the development of integrated and alternative plant protection methods, to address the different needs which are already mentioned, and at the end to have good results which are useful for the farmers to meet their needs and to meet the needs of government and the social expectations to secure the field vegetable production. So that's what I wanted to present about our IOBC working group in field vegetables. And if you have questions regarding our next meeting in September or other questions regarding this working group, I'm open for questions. And I saw in the list of participants that there are also several people who attended the last meetings. So I'm happy to answer your questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Uti. So again, I don't think there are any questions in the chat at the moment, but I think that the IOBC working group will come up when we do the breakout discussions, probably. So before we sort of finish this bit,